Hello, hello, and welcome, everybody. This is the Phoenix Firm Signals from the Ashes, and I'm Ben Dowd, the AI and process improvement guy for the Phoenix Firm. And with me today, Kendall. Please introduce yourself, Kendall.
Thanks, Ben. My name is Kendall Johnson, and I am the sales lead here at the Phoenix firm. Happy to be here, my friend. Thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. No, great to have you on board and welcome for sure. So today we wanted to have you join us and go a little bit deeper into some of the challenges that we're seeing with our clients and um, their their challenges as it relates to how does AI specifically relate to cloud deployment? Do I need to do one versus the other? What are the am I going to expect the same kind of challenges, or is it the same kind of wins that I'm expecting when it comes to cloud? Because everybody was jumping on the bus back then. Do I need to do the same today? So let's dive right in
Yeah,
as we get into it, Kendall. What do you
yeah,
say?
right on. Ben,
This
this
is,
is something I
let me
think that you.
first.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, this is something I think that you and I have been discussing for some time now. I'm looking forward to diving in with the audience. Certainly timely and something that's on top of a lot of business leaders' minds.
Oh, absolutely. Exactly. And, it's many of our leaders are saying, listen, we've done this before, right? We've played this book before. And let's go down this path now for AI as we did for cloud back when. And I've already got the playbook. So I know exactly what I'm going to do with all of that. But let me ask you why that is. What in your view, why is it that the AI deployment feels like cloud all over again for so many? But why is that such a risk?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's almost a little like deja vu for a lot of business leaders, and you and I have spoken to a lot of business leaders in the last, I would say, few months, just on direction and how to tackle it. And there's a lot of anxiety. Here's why. I think a lot of business leaders have gone through the exercise of exponential new technology, right? And have seen what type of resources are involved. I might add that this time around, it's at a level that and speed that they may not have seen in the past. So
Mm,
that
yeah.
anxiety is cool. But I think with the cloud computing, if we take a step forward, the objective of that exercise was to expand the business, right? That it was about reaching new heights of the business and new customers. And like you used to say, in one of the fields I have a lot of experience in and spoken to many leaderships with Salesforce.com, really like making your small business big, right? But it's different today. Today, it's about decisions. It's about maneuverability. It's about tactics in a split second or a little bit faster than your competition. And that's what I think a lot of AI technology can do for customers today if employed the right way. But there's a lot of factors we'll get into that make the big difference. So expansion versus decisions is the key.
Well, that's just it, isn't it? Because one speaks to operational efficiencies and speed of operation to a certain extent, but it doesn't necessarily speak to, like you said, the decision making, the solving as needed for the organization itself. I would also say though that it would go down the path of implementing AI, and if we go down the same path that so many did for cloud, sticking to the IT side without actually adjusting the entire operation itself, um, can lead to some very core challenges down the path, especially if we just say that, okay, if we just put all of that onto the shoulders of IT to implement and then manage and run and govern, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because that's all in the IT world. As unfortunately many felt the cloud was as well. Um, What do you think about that? Like as far as the sitting on the shoulders of IT as so many did for cloud?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, Ben. I'll take it even further. You're as you stated, with clouds, it was about new connections and new visions that you wouldn't otherwise have seen without putting a lot of your technology in the hands of others, really, that really broadened the landscape and the footprints of your organizations through technology. That was a great move and has seen a lot of abundance for many companies and business leaders at that time. But she still relied on a lot of human intervention at that time and decisions that are made by others. In the age of AI, some are saying there's two thoughts, right? That you are unifying those decisions and decision points and accelerating the business uh, um, um, I would say, move forward through technology, AI technology. And then some are also saying that, um, this is the age of redefining how business would work. Less dependency on human intervention, more dependency on uh, things that can be automated through
Mhm.
technology so that you could handle other tasks at the same time or efficiently. Efficiently is the name of the game, what people are utilizing in layman terms, to the reason for AI. But to your point, it still bogs down to the right decision making. Can IT help further those points, or do we have to include other business units that are still heavily weighted on human intervention as we conjunction in conjunction to create that flow? And I absolutely agree with you. That's the big conundrum that a lot of organizations have today.
Well, that's just it. And it does actually shift the way the organization functions, doesn't it?
It does.
All the operations that goes with it, as did cloud for that matter. Moving over to the cloud environment, it wasn't just sitting on IT. It really was okay. And how do we adjust now that we have new abilities? And so that shifts so many things of how the organization functions. Um, and that's really where AI needs to sit as well, because in that environment, if we just shift as is, well, then we're going to have the same issues
Yep.
that we have today. Only maybe now we have more of them. They're expanded. They're perhaps even worse, or they're more obvious, or I'm getting issues faster than I was before. The gaps in there become more apparent to all those who are seeing it, and it can actually put your organization at risk. So like those are some of the mistakes I feel like we're at risk of repeating, and so many are at risk of repeating when it comes to implementing AI. I guess the biggest question then is, where do we go from here? Like what do the organizations need to do even before they start the implementations?
Yeah, absolutely, Ben. And I think, I had the chance of looking at your last great podcast with Sam talking about data and how data is so important to decision making, good in, good out, bad, and you're going down the wrong path. I think the question still remains: what does the organization truly look like, right? What does the data tell us today? And is it almost like we need to put in place the right systems, AIs or otherwise, to ensure that that data is the one that we want to have being coming into the organization, cleaned, and then help make decision making processes. Uh, and that's the power of AI, right? That's the first thing. You said so the first time in a long while, companies have the ability to really have control over the decision-making processes directly from the top right down to how it's implemented and distributed in terms of the product that they produce. AI can help do that, but it doesn't negate the fact that there is intricates that still have to be um, involved by other organizations that also wait on the success of the organization, right? And so, in simple terms, the answer is you're right. There's a bit of a gap in analysis that we have to take a look. How good are we really with our data, right? How valuable are our people to the organization still? That may change in the future. And in a new rule of law, uh, like you say, governance, what models hold true? And that you're seeing today, a lot of examples are playing out right in front of our eyes, where a lot of organizations are looking at rule of governance and that model and saying, well, those departments we've had for 20 years may not be as important as they once were, and there are new models that we can shift to that will help. I caution that um, those pressures, those questions, um, I'm hoping that business leaders also understand from accelerators and working with governments and a multitude of organizations that we're fortunate to work with. Now understand those pressures of AI, they still don't negate having to look at problems that exist 20 years ago. And here will play a part even with AI, to your point. Um, they're set to getting to the level of optimal efficiency. And I believe that now folks are taking those steps to make sure that they're implemented.
Well, that's just it. And, being able to then look at the functions that you have in a new way entirely. Um, However, what this is obviously leading to is a lot of discomfort, especially at the management level. What do we need? What don't we need? How might this change how we do this? Will it add cost into what I'm doing, whether in terms of people or equipment that's needed, or will it lead to more mistakes? Because as we've been talking about, AI can definitely make your problems look bigger or be bigger and faster. So you're just moving an issue to happen more often and without actually adjusting maybe something that needs that first. And so um, that's I think where some of the uncomfortable feeling sits with
Yeah.
some audience. Um, and the other piece is really leaving decisions in the hands of artificial intelligence and understanding when and how to actually do that. And that's really where the end state ROI that we're looking for can come from. But we have to actually put our trust in that. And so, you know, very often, and you can speak to this even better than I can, very often we need to start small
Mhm.
and show and prove that the model can function and then um, grow from there because it's not so again the ROIs that we're looking for are huge transformational shifts for the whole organization, and there's no question you can get there. It's going to take time though, and you need to start somewhere in order to relieve those concerns, that uncomfortable feeling that they're going through. So those are some of the challenges I think that we're having, and you know guiding organizations through. Let's start somewhere small, see what it can do and what we need to do, and then that actually helps us build the playbook for how we're going to implement in our particular organization.
Yeah, no doubt about that, Ben. And I'm going to add to that. You know, I tell organizations all the time that the reason why you hired us, the reason why you hired the Phoenix firm is you want to have that external view of how things really look on the outside from your organization. I encourage that for many organizations. The second thing I say is you don't want to boil the ocean, and I think that a crawl, walk, run approach is absolutely necessary. Um, there's a lot of opportunities, but you need the right footing to stand on to make sure that we're moving in a way that you expect. And to your point, that's I think what we're hearing in the media today, right? Someone who I've known and worked for in the past. At Salesforce, as a Salesforce organization, there was some sentiment that, hey, maybe we pulled the trigger a little too fast in laying off a certain amount of resources. And what they ended up doing at Salesforce was to redeploy those resources in a different way with AI. They called it giving them superpowers, right? And truly
Yeah.
believe, I
Yeah.
truly believe that the most optimal way of utilizing AI is what we just said, figuring out really where we are, making those decisions through gap analysis and how we could fill those points so that we're most optimal, and then introducing tools that give our people and our systems like I think what we're talking about here, right? And if we're able to do that, then not only are we able to get to more decisions in more places through cloud computing, but also and fill more gaps and create more opportunity.
Absolutely. And that's the HITL, human in the loop, right? And I love that because that's really about holding on to your greatest asset within your organization. Those are your people.
Yes.
There's a reason, really fundamentally, why your biggest cost in any organization is your people. Uh, uh, but that's your biggest asset, and, and
Yeah.
and that's really what's driving your organization. And you've invested heavily in those people, uh, so that they represent your organization. They know the organization, and as you say, the longer they're around and the more they know about the organization, they can now, thanks to AI, be the superpowers that the organization needs, instead of cutting. And that's that's really where you can see the power that you actually have, and then how can I make those resources that I already do have even more powerful to take them to the next level. So for example, if whatever function is that I'm deploying through artificial intelligence, um, allows the capacity to be created in the range of 50, 60, 70%. That didn't represent only a savings for the organization by reducing in headcount, but really, how do I use that headcount now to do what I couldn't do before or do what I've been trying to do for so long? And that's why I feel there's such value in our um, the efforts that we make around showing where does your organization sit in terms of the competition that's out there, and what else is available for you to do.
Yeah.
But Kendall, let me ask just quickly, what are the next steps for any organization, and where do they even start when it comes to you know the cloud versus the AI, or the cloud beyond AI beyond the cloud, as we have the title for today's episode.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's timing. I think the next steps for many organization is there's a few steps, right? And the first step is identify the costs and opportunities. That's the very first that you want to do, right? Identify the costs. You just said it, and I'll sum it up: the people cost, right? And also the cost of transforming, right? Um, once you and I think consultant agencies, many like the Phoenix firm and others, can help with that because they'll identify your gaps, as we spoke about previously. This next thing that they would want to do is to understand, what does automated decisions look like, and to your point, the trust factor. What organizations and AI tools would pass the trust factors? But might I add, I want to put this out there. It's not only the internal trust factor, right, Ben? In terms of it rolling out decisions that will help move forward the business, that will produce more profits. I think that's where people think that's where we are. You know where else we are? The trust factors of our customers.
Mhm.
Still us working with uh, automated systems, robots per se, entirely. If there's a shift and a revolution for many organizations, to centralize and automate their systems, then that's maybe a new reality for certain types of customers. And as we have been speaking about a certain events, and it came out of the CES event out of Las Vegas, um, there may be some hesitation there. So really, it is about process management and how to best serve the customer. It goes right back to that, and how we're implementing AI to best AI and resources to best do that. That's the third thing. I think the next thing is, and you say this all the time, I'm learning from yourself, governance, expected governance, and governance within the organization. We all have to expect at some point in time that this is an area that we bring expertise in. There is going to be forced governance on the organization as they dwindle their workforce. That's just going to happen. So how do you get in front and manage that is going to be extremely important, and it'll also help how you make decisions, region by region by region. Will have their own governance, and so those are the things that we think that will need to be part of the decision making process. And I do believe that that consulting firms with the expertise can do that best.
Absolutely, 1000%. Uh, couldn't agree more, Kendall. And thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. And I look forward to more of our discussions as always, Kendall. And thank you to all of our listeners to our podcast here at the Phoenix Firm. This is the signals from the ashes. There's more signals coming, and we absolutely love it. So thank you again, Kendall, for everything, and for all our listeners. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be in touch.
You bet.
See you.
Thank you. Seriously.
Take care. Bye.